Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through 4th and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of Trap or Dive Podcast. I am your host, Mual. AJ is about to get checked in right now. Dre is on the way. But let's get through the administrative items right quick as we're doing things. If you are new to the Trap or Dive Podcast, man, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We definitely appreciate that, man. If you are on the audio side, make sure you hit that follow button. Hit us with a rating and review as well. We definitely appreciate that when you have a chance to do so. What am I missing? Film session. Bruh, I was supposed to have I submitted my film session video to my editor and I messed up. And I think it's the format in which I saved it. I'm trying something new, different quality, different style in how I do the film session, and I messed up. So I think I'm going to transition to a different angle of how I do this film session. I'll probably try and drop 2. They'll probably come out Thursday and Friday. May even do one for like a written version as well for Hogs Haven as on that side. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, I think everything is good with the administrative items. Fellas, Dre, AJ, how y'all boys feeling, man?
We're real good, brother. Still riding the wave.
Yeah, man. In regards to Washington, hoping some things change. But if y'all don't mind, real quick, I'd just like to give my condolences to Dikembe Mutombo, a legend of the DMV area. For me, being a fellow African, someone that meant a lot to my community, my continent, beyond just basketball. Also, I got personal friends that that's their uncle, their father, so many different things. So I want to send my condolences and thoughts and prayers to them. And you know, we definitely lost a big time guy, an African giant. So I'm representing. I'm not a Denver Nuggets fan, but I definitely got on my Dikembe Mutombo throwback jersey. So yeah, just wanted to say that out there. Yeah.
Well, let me can I second that as a big Georgetown fan, obviously Dikembe has touched me, reached me in a way. And I actually met Dikembe in the 90s, man. It was a good experience meeting him. He's a really nice guy. I mean, as everyone has always said, great humanitarian. He represented Georgetown well, represented the African community well, he represented Black people well. He just was a great man, man. So, definitely rest in peace to Dikembe.
Y'all said everything that needed to be said. Well said, AJ, Jerry. Rest in peace to Dikembe Mutombo. That finger wag, bruh. That thing that made, hey, it made waves, bro. His entire career, commercials, everything. RIP Dikembe. Fellas, we got a few things to talk about. Shout out to Domo, man. Domo, for those who don't know, I don't think, I mean, a random name named Domo, right? But Domo, if you all have been on Twitter a lot, you know who this Domo is. He's a Skins Twitter OG. And you know what's crazy, Dre? I don't know if you knew him, AJ. So I just knew Dre knew him back then at the time. But he essentially just gave up Washington cold turkey out of the blue and went to Baltimore, right? And for like the first year, I was convinced he was going to come back soon. I didn't know it was 6 years that he was gone. I thought it was like 4. He was gone for 6 years. It's been a while.
Because me and him used to go back. Yeah, we used to go back and forth on that a lot. And he was like, man, I ain't coming back. But he honestly, to Damo's credit, Domo said, I'm not coming back until Snyder sells. And I mean, he took him a little while, I guess, to get back. But, and I know Domo was a big RG3 fan too. So a lot of that stuff kind of soured people with the whole RG3 and Kirk thing. But I think, getting a Jaden Daniels probably feels like a bit of a redemption for him. But we'll ask him that when he come on, man. We'll chop it up.
Yeah. So Domo is scheduled to come on. Again, for those who don't know him, he's basically he was a fan of Washington. He left cold turkey, became a Ravens fan. Even had an article. He was part of an article where it featured some fans who quit the team. He was in the Washington Post. I actually remember that. And they got some quotes for him as well. But apparently they met the criteria. We put it on the post game reaction. Washington has met the criteria for him to come back. A lot of people welcome him with open arms. Some people trying to shun him away and gatekeep with this franchise, which is crazy to me. But he's back, so we're going to chop it up with him at 7:30, just down the line a little bit. But in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, Extreme Skins days. I know Dre know about that. I didn't. I missed those days. I wasn't around for them.
Extreme Skins or something else, bro.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, it definitely was. I was checking Extreme Skins when I was in middle school.
Damn.
Bro, I was following Sean Taylor's whole shooting thing on Extreme Skins. Like, that's how throwback that shit is. Yeah, like all of us was like following the updates and all of that on Extreme Skins. Like, yeah, it was crazy.
I'm about to say, I think that time, I think it was, if it wasn't Extreme Skins, I think I only knew, was it MySpace that was popping around that time?
As far as social, yeah, it was MySpace in the early ages of Facebook.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get into our aftermath, man. The Commanders mollywopped the Arizona Cardinals. Offensively and defensively, a lot of things went well, right? I say went well, right? A lot of things went well on Sunday. I want to give you all the floor first. I have obviously some film notes and takeaways, but who wants to take the stab at? Let's go with, we can go with the offensive side. But anything that you all saw or ran back that really caught your eye, or just something that you really want to put a spotlight on, obviously a couple days after the game.
Yeah, a couple notes I took from the game actually got featured today when I seen like ESPN. It was when Dan Orlovsky was breaking down how they use 13 personnel in no huddle, and essentially they were just using different variations of 13 personnel, bunch, all these different things in the run game and the passing game, which ultimately led to a drive where Jaden Daniels hit Terry McLaurin in the end zone for a touchdown. I think, like I said Sunday, as long as they're continuing to be productive with their yards and their plays, it helps them get into tempo and allows Cliff to really connect these plays together so much better. When you're having negative plays, it kind of changes the way that you can go about attacking the defense, especially if you're trying to go with an up tempo flow. So yeah, I just think that those things were amazing on the offensive side. Jeremy Nichols had a big, I would probably even say a career NFL day. I don't know what his stats are, but as well as far as being able to be productive in the run game, the pass game, even his pass blocking. I think that he had a very productive day stepping in for Austin Eckler. So now that gives you a bit more comfort. If anybody were to go down, you would have someone that could step in, whether it be to replace Austin Eckler for a couple games or Brian Robinson. You know that you got additional back on your roster. You elevated Chris Rodriguez Jr., but he didn't play an offensive snap at all from my knowledge that I seen. Yeah, I think you're just seeing the offense continue to gel together, and Cliff Kingsbury understand his guys much better. They definitely put the Cardinals in the matrix in a lot of plays, and you just hope that it continues to grow.
Yeah, for me, I definitely want to point out the offensive line. I think they are just playing bully ball at this point. It's allowing Cliff to kind of get more creative with what he wants to call, and it's flourishing and opening up something that we kind of thought before the season. We thought the running back room was strong before the season, but now we're seeing it in season. So, I mean, Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, we've seen those dudes jump out of the gates, but then we see Jeremy McNichols, as AJ mentioned, he comes in the game. Well, his first pretty much extensive action with us, and he looks like a pretty good backup. So to this point, it's kind of getting me to wonder, where does the Commanders rank as a running back room across the NFL? Like, I knew we thought that this was one of the stronger position groups going into the season on the offense, but now I'm kind of wondering, how do those guys stack up against the rest of the NFL? Because we're putting up numbers in the run game. It's not just Jaden Daniels, even though I do think Jaden Daniels, his threat to run as well kind of helps these guys out, because especially on those read option plays, you have to account for Jaden. Like, there's a guy that has to stay home on Jaden, and that kind of frees up a run lane. But that's not to take anything from the offensive line. I mean, right now, when you think about it, when we went into the season with the offensive line, the big question was, who are the guys? We maybe have one guy, and that's Sam Cosmi. We were really worried. We were thinking, this is a weak spot of this offense. But now, as you're looking at the offensive line, who is the weak spot on the offensive line? Even Andrew Wiley's playing good to this point. Nick
a name that
Allen,
people haven't said in a long time, Andrew
and
Wiley.
it's a name that caught a lot of hate, and people were fearing him starting this year right tackle, to the point where there was discussion of people wanting Sam Cosmi to go back to right tackle. But Andrew Wiley's playing pretty good this season. Nick Allegretti has been looking like a good signing over there. I mean, when Brandon Coleman and Cornelius Lucas, I know they're still doing the rotation thing, but both of them are holding their own on the left tackle spots. And then, of course, there's Tyler Biotish. I mean, Biotish, he's making the protection calls on the offensive line. I think he's been a fantastic center to start the season off. So right now, I mean, you got to put the focal point on those guys, as much as we talk about Jaden, but these guys are going unheralded. OG Bobby Johnson, he's coaching those guys up. He's another guy that caught a lot of hate this offseason. And that was one of the things. I'm like, how do fans hate something that they don't even really know about? They don't really know about what Bobby Johnson was directed to do on that Giants O-line. And plus, they had a lot of injuries. But now he comes here, and we're having a successful season so far with that position group. And you got to give him some credit with that. So, I mean, just with that said, like I said, for me coming out of that game, I watched those guys again, and it's how they open up the rush lanes. They play bully ball. Jaden's getting time, and then they're putting the spotlight on that running back room now.
Yeah, I'm kind of in this situation where, like, I love several different areas of the game. First off, Tyler Biadasz. I think that he's been playing like in the games where I really had opportunities to really focus in on Tyler. He has really locked in. Like he's been a dog. What they're doing up front is really good from a standpoint of chip protection, max protection, and a lot of play action. I think the game with the Cardinals specifically, I caught myself like on play 30, and I'm like, hold on, bro. How many times did they run play action to this point? Because all I see is play action. So like I went back to play 1, and I was like, all right, this was a play action. This was a play action. This was a play action. And like at one point they had only ran like 2 or 3 pure dropbacks. Like so much of the run game was married to the pass game. But also the run game was so effective, it is causing problems for defenses and their ability to really understand what Cliff and the offense is trying to do on a particular play. I know that something that really stood out to me against the Cardinals was I didn't know how to categorize it like from a terminology standpoint, but somebody said it. I forgot who I was listening to. But like the way that they move the centers, pull them and pull the guards, like they have like these plays where they're pulling both the guard and centers on certain plays, or they'll have the guard cross the formation or the center cross the formation, like go to the perimeter. And first off, for Tyler Biadasz to be able to pull from the center to the perimeter in itself is an athletic feat, right? That is something that benefits your offense. Like they are creating they're creating like these new gaps along the defensive line, from being able to execute, obviously, is the most important thing, but also having a running back in Brian Robinson and Jeremy McNichols, like see these lanes and execute. Jeremy McNichols was the top ranked runner in DVOA metrics after this week. I think he had 68 yards, 2 touchdowns, but on 8 carries. And I think for Washington to see how he was able to exploit every single rush lane to perfection when he was given that opportunity is something where you're like, boom, like that just adds the dynamic. Like when Eckler comes back, what else can you do with these 3 running backs? I don't know how much time Jeremy McNichols is going to get when Eckler comes back, rightfully so, because Eckler is Eckler, right? And B-Rob is B-Rob. So I'm saying. But I think to have those 3 running backs in your stable is big. And AJ mentioned the personnel usage on the film session that got corrupted. I'm gonna try to figure out how to piece this together so I can just share like the clips of whatever I did save. But the tight end packages, 13 personnel, they're lining it in single back formation with bunches on one side or trips on one side. They're empty with 13 personnel. And what also helps with how what AJ alluded to, when you have that play action, right? Like the dynamic nature in Jaden Daniels when he drops back to pass off of play actions. You have Cardinals defenders spot dropping, like they're turning their back to Jaden to get to their zone spots. And on boot actions, there was one particular play where he's running a boot action, and two defenders in particular, turn their back towards Jaden while he's rolling out. But not only do they turn their back, they're frozen at the line of scrimmage because they're not too short. Like the run fake sold them. So, or they bid on it. So they're holding at the line of scrimmage a little bit too long, and they realize I got to get back. It's 2nd and 1. When they turn their back to Jaden, he jogs for 10 yards and gets the first down in the red zone. Like the dynamic nature of Jaden with the way that Cliff is utilizing his personnel is also a underlying threat to how you can really stay on the field offensively. And I think for that aspect and how the offense is functioning right now, I didn't even get to like the plays that Jaden was talking about, or excuse me, that Jaden was executing from a processing standpoint. But the way that things are executing up front, from the offensive line to the running backs, and to from Cliff Kingsbury himself, like that is by far some of the best football that they're playing right now. And I think that in itself deserves a huge spotlight as we move forward, or as we continue to move forward with this offense. But I wanted to pause right there and see if y'all had any thoughts on that.
No, I mean is exactly what you said. I think just putting putting fear in defense and putting them in confusion. That's truly what it is. Jaden is a guy that can run, but he's a precision passer. Like he could sit in the pocket all day and wait for things to open up. And then if you're being productive and you're averaging 4 point something yards per carry, that opens up so much for you to be able to do. Now, if they get stopped in the running game, now things may look a bit differently. But so far, with 4 games in, they've been able to use Austin Eckler and the run game. B-Rob, McNichols last game. Austin's going to play this weekend. They're able to do so much off of that. Like I said, the key to any offense, honestly, is gaining positive yards. But especially with this team, I think that's something that Cliff learned after week 1. Like I got to stop, doing so many of these screens, because they don't necessarily have the yak guys for that. Maybe they can get a couple yards, but you're not necessarily seeing big plays happen from those screens. So if they keep pounding the rock in between the tackles, even in the 13 personnel, it was leaving the edge open for either Jaden to keep the ball and take it outside himself, or being able to call something out on the edge. But if you keep that tempo, those defensive guys got to stay out there, and they're getting tired. They're getting worn down. They have no clue what to do, and they can't even sub out.
Well, let me ask y'all something, and this is something I'm actually thinking about when we talk about Jaden Daniels and what he's doing and what he's able to do on the field. And I've been looking at a lot of discussions, about other fan bases, kind of thinking he's going to come back to earth and this, that, and the third. But right now, what can you say is Jaden's biggest weakness that you would fear going forward for this season, especially like this season right now? Does Jaden have a glaring weakness to you all that will hinder Washington at some point this season, or give you some pause to say, okay, this is the rookie in him? Like, do you see a weakness in him right now?
I don't see a glaring weakness, bro. Like, and I take glaring weakness as you're saying something that's like so obvious that it can be a detriment to the offense, right?
Like something, yeah, basically that, or something that at some point you're like, all right, this may be something that kind of slows him down and makes him kind of regress to the mean, so to speak, like regress to reality.
I don't see no. I don't see no glare. I don't see a glaring weakness. He got things that he got to work on. My bad, AJ. He got things he got to work on, obviously, but glaring weakness to the way in which we're defining it, I don't see one.
Yeah, I don't see one either. I think if anything, it may just be facing the blitz. That all depends on the team. Not everyone is going to blitz at a high clip like a Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But if the relationship, the continuity continues to build between him and Cliff, and they could be productive in the run game, that changes the whole dynamic of how teams can even blitz him. But like as far as his actual personal traits, what he can control, the man can throw outside the numbers, in between the numbers. He got the deep ball. He can stand in the pocket and take hits. He can run. You got to play for the option. Yeah, I don't want to make it seem like he's a perfect quarterback, but he don't have like major red flags. Like footwork is amazing. Composure is amazing. He's already one of the top tier quarterbacks in the league, in my opinion, if he can continue to trend upwards as we're 4 weeks in. But he's not one of those guys where, let's say, like a Jalen Hurts turnover machine, or not necessarily the greatest in accuracy or layering the ball to his wide receivers. He can do all of that, and he's displayed all of that already in his NFL career, but he also did it at collegiate level in the SEC. So it's like the stage isn't too big for him. I think that's another thing fans got to realize, that not everyone comes back down to earth. Some people just stay up there. You
And
feel me? Like
that's
that's just the reality. And I think Washington fans are Washington fans have so much PTSD that they keep trying to psych out their mind with shit. And like it comes from the RG3 thing. They're scared of injuries. I mean, Jaden's even sliding. For those that were so concerned about him getting hit because the couple clips that we seen, maybe like five
The highlight
hits.
clip again getting
Yeah,
yeah.
maybe
messed
five
with.
hits over his collegiate career that spanned several years, and he ran for over 6,000 plus yards in college and over 300 plus carries. To get hit hard 5 times is really not that big of a deal. But I just think that a lot of the fans are just so scared and they don't know what this looks like, rightfully so. I guess not to be too hard on them. This team hasn't, I mean, this organization hasn't had a quarterback though for over 30 touchdowns since Sammy Ball. Like that was 1950s or 60s, early 60s. So they don't even really know what a franchise quarterback. Like as much as people appreciate the Mark Rippons of the world, the Joe Theismann, the Doug Williams, and so on, those weren't necessarily like franchise guys to what we know Dan Marino's, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady to be. So I think it's just going to take some adjustment from a psychological standpoint for fans to realize like, oh, we got one of them dudes.
And AJ, I was going to say, you actually answered that question perfectly for why I was asking the question in a sense, because I find myself, I try to be a rational fan. I'm an older fan, so I've seen a lot. So I try to be rational
Yeah,
in
you
my
was 20 in the 90s,
expectations.
bro.
Yeah, hey, I'm all aging me now. But no, I mean, I try to be like a reasonable fan because I've seen so much and I've, had hope in the past and, things went to shit or whatever. But now it's like I find myself sitting here watching Jaden Daniels, and he passes that eye test that you kind of sort of see when you watch other teams play. Like you don't really need to kind of look at a guy long enough, or you don't need to see a guy for 16, 17 games to be like, man, that guy got something to him. And Jaden is providing that for me. I mean, I had the same feeling watching, and again, I try not to go too hot with this, but this is my honest feelings. Like I had the same feelings watching Mahomes early on in his career. Like that guy has something that's just not going to go away. Like what are you going to take away from that guy? I mean, even Lamar Jackson. I mean, I always thought Lamar Jackson was a dynamic athlete. I mean, I watched the guy at Louisville. He comes in Baltimore when he finally gets his chance to play his rookie year. He looks like a superstar, even though he has to refine some passing work. I'm watching Jaden Daniels and I'm seeing things and I'm like, I don't see what's going to slow him down. I don't see what's going to bring him to this so-called reality that a lot of people are kind of praying on or hoping on or thinking that's going to happen. I mean, even with our fan base, I get the reluctance. But I mean, again, if you've been watching football long enough, sometimes you just know when you see the eye test. But the hard thing about this is we haven't seen that eye test here. So that's why it's kind of that reluctance or that hesitance to say what you think he is. So to that point, I mean, I just think the dude is legit at this point, and I don't see this crash from reality unless something, some crazy thing happens. Like I see this guy passing all of the eye tests right now.
I mean, I think the only thing that could truly slow down Jaden Daniels in his career as a Washington Commander is if they don't add enough talent to what they're continuing to try to build on. If they ignore that or play it cool, then yeah, that's where you could see things kind of level off. But if they add to the talent pool, like how the Chiefs continue to add pieces around Patrick Mahomes, I mean, one of the teams that hasn't done that is the Buffalo Bills. They're not adding enough talent
I
around.
actually, well, I was gonna say, I actually think it's now that you mentioned Buffalo, I actually think that it's the inverse, bro. Like I think, I don't think Kansas City done enough. Like they've actively tried, right? Like they just got Worthy, and then before that, nobody knew what Rashid Rice was going to be. Like they just had Travis Kelce, and then Tyreek Hill obviously was around before Mahomes became a thing. And then Buffalo, the inverse, they got Stephon Diggs to Buffalo. They got Dalton. Kincaid there for him, as well as Dawson Knox. And then obviously like the drop off is one thing. They had Gabe Davis too. But I say that to say I agree with you. You have to find a way to replenish your talent, whether it's in the draft or whether it's through free agency or all-season acquisitions. You have to find a way to replenish, however which way they see fit. I completely agree with you. The drop off is the part that you want to avoid in terms of like getting complacent, because then you can end up in a Cam Newton situation where he a dog. He's taking so much toll on his body to really carry your team, and you can't get no receivers. And I don't think that's in his toolbox to be like, yeah, we're just gonna let Jaden just do his own thing. I think he's actively going to try. But to your point, like you don't want a Carolina situation. All right. So quick thing, I'm gonna read this quote because I was trying to read this quote off. I agree with Jay Tyler, but it is a small thing, and I agree with that as well. Just in terms of anticipation, he could be slow, a little bit slow at times, but in terms of glaring issues or flaws, I don't think that fits the criteria in the conversation. And I think you agree with that as well. But here was Dan Quinn on his quotes, and then we can get to the good man Domo. But Dan Quinn on why Daniels is having so much success. This kind of actually goes to your reasoning for your question, Dre. Quote unquote. Well, I don't think it's not any magic that's going into this. I know that's hard to say, but he absolutely works his ass off. I would say that number one, the time that he spends getting ready, getting prepared. I said it the other night on this trip. There's many nights in the office on the quarterback room was just a few doors down from mine, and Thursdays nights, and just staying in there, going through it again and again. He really puts in the work. So when the game time comes, there's a confidence that comes from that. So I love the connection that everybody in that quarterback room has. It's Cliff, obviously, and offensive pass game coordinator Brian Johnson, and QB coach Tavita Pritchard, and assistant QB coach David Blau, and the other quarterbacks that are there with them. They really support the hell out of them and featuring players of the things that they can do well. With Jaden, can do a lot of things well, but finding those things that other receivers can do well in different spots, different routes. I think that's some of this. But to think he would start like this, no, I don't think anybody would have said that. But I would say if you're around him, you feel his work ethic. There's no magic pixie dust that we're throwing into him. It's absolutely grinding, working, and a lot of confidence comes from that because he can enter the game knowing the work that he put in. So I think that sheds a lot of light into your question and also how you're feeling, Dre. The most important thing, how a lot of fans are feeling about Jaden Daniels. But yeah, there's Dan Quinn. Let's hear a word from our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, and let's go ahead and chop it up with the good man Domo, the returning fan, the returning Commanders fan, bro. All right, let's take a break from the show right quick, and let me tell you something about Underdog Fantasy. It is the greatest time of the year because football is back, and it's here to stay till February. You can win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on your favorite player stats, such as touchdowns, passing yards, and more. Peep that touchdown thing, right? If you're a Commanders fan, Jaden Daniels, Brian Robinson, you're looking like money. You can make that entry on Underdog Fantasy, choose higher on their touchdown total, get you some bread. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward, and signing up is even easier. Just hold over Underdog's simple to use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with promo code TrapperDive, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code TrapperDive to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and New England, 19 or older in Colorado for some games, 21 and up in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or 1-800-639-8783 or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call 24/7 HOPEline at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. 369, there it is, man. And we got the good man Domo on the show, bro. A 6-year hiatus.
Nah, he got the gear on. You see him?
He got the gear on, bro.
We back, baby. We back.
It took a 6-year hiatus from the vibe, but he back, bro. I said before we got Domo on, he said they met the criteria. Appreciate you checking in with us, bro. Spending some time, man. I figured when you said what you said, I wanted to definitely chop it up with you. Last time you when you threw in the towel, we didn't have a podcast over here. So it's definitely good opportunity to chop it up with you and just pick your brain, bro. See how you feeling. How's everything going on with you, bro?
Man, all is well over here on this front, man. I just wanted to give y'all props, man. I love what y'all doing. Like you said, when I quit the Skins, y'all didn't have a pod, man. And y'all killing it right now. So, man, props to y'all and thank you for having me, man.
Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate it.
Alrighty, so let's kind of get things from the top because everybody don't know your story, but we've been following you for a long time. So I think the obvious is the obvious, but I want you to tell the people exactly what it was that said, you know what, bruh? Because honestly, bro, I would say this: you're bold, and I think I commend you for actually making the decision to leave. Like a lot of people can't do it. Like they can't do it, and you did it. So what was going on with you that said, all right, yeah, this is I'm through.
Yeah, man, and I mentioned this on Twitter, man. Like I legit, they were literally affected by mental health, man. Like dead ass, man. Like I have a wife.
Please elaborate.
Yeah, man. I got a wife. I got 2 kids. At the time, I had just had my son. And I literally put him in Redskin gear, like fresh out the womb, like Redskin gear. And then that Jay Gruden season, man, like
which one?
All the stuff with Bruce Allen staying on and just them running it like a Dan Snyder with the sexual assault cases. I just had it, man. Like and it got to a point. I can't even tell you what game it was. I don't even remember what exact game it was, but I remember throwing my phone through my TV. And like,
damn.
I literally got in an argument with my wife about it. And like, I kirked off on her. And then I was just looking in the mirror like, damn. Like, I can't do it. I can't do this shit no more.
I feel you now, bro.
It was really bad. Yeah, like it was really bad. Like I legitimately had to walk away. So then I unfollowed like all of the reporters. I deleted them out of my browser, save browser. I mean, again, like I said, I used to break down film and draft prospects and all of that. I just went straight cold turkey, man. And honestly, it was the best decision I ever made because I found my joy again.
Hey, but Domo, like it's funny because I know when you first made that decision, I thought you was bullshitting. Me and you used to go back and forth about it. And me and your cousin Fred, we real good friends. Fred was like, "Nah, I think this man's serious this time." You know what I'm saying? I was like, I don't know. But then, I started to understand. You know why I started to feel you a little bit, Domo? Because I had the reverse effect with the Wizards. Like with the Wizards, Ernie Grunfeld sucked my joy out the game. To the point where, I mean, you know how I was with you with the Wizards. We watched every game, everything. But like once like Ernie, they kept on keeping Ernie. Then he hired his disciple. I stepped back from him a bit. Like I wasn't a fan of nobody else. I ain't go to another team, but I was like watching them from afar, and that wasn't me. It didn't feel right. But now I'm back. Like I feel like the Wizards got me back now. They done some things. They finally got rid of the purges and the poisons and all of that. So I mean, to me, that was enough to get me back going as a fan. But for you, what made, because you had, Dan Snyder sold a year ago. We had Josh Harris for a year now. What made you now decide, yeah, it's time to come back? Like this is it for me.
Yeah, it was all of the above. Like it was, obviously Dan had to sell. Like he had to go. That was bare minimum. And then forever, like I feel like I've been asking for this for over 20 years. Like a proper front office, GM, head coach, quarterback structure, like everybody on one accord, not the owner wanting one guy, the GM politicking wanting another guy, the coach want a different guy, and then after it all blow up in their face, they all pointing the finger at each other and leaking stuff to the media. Like just being a observer from afar, and being in that and seeing how the Ravens do business, like, and then watching y'all from as a casual observer, it looked like y'all were putting those pieces in place to be a legitimate organization, not just we figuring it out as we go, like a legitimate organization, something sustainable beyond just a one season blip, like real NFC East sustainability, man. So with Adam Peters, bringing him from that 49ers organization, stand-up organization, then you get in Dan Quinn. Obviously, his resume speaks for itself, and then Cliff Kingsbury as an offensive mind to marry him to Jaden Daniels, like it's perfect synergy, man. The record is not surprising to me. Like y'all doing it the right way. They finally doing it the right way after 40 years.
Well, I got two questions I want to ask you. First, you mentioned how your son was born and immediately out the womb you had him in Washington gear. How old is that young man today, and is he a part of the Washington fan base, or did he sway to the Ravens side and rooted for Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, so I haven't even really introduced him to football. He's about to turn 7 next month. Actually, no, this month. He's about to turn 7 this month since we're in October now. But I haven't even introduced him to football because, again, I didn't have the joy for it. I wanted to give him a team that he could that my father passed down to me and that I could pass down to my son. And I feel like they are that team now that I could be proud of and say, yeah, put this jersey on, man, and carry that legacy on, man, that fandom on. So yeah, he about to be 7. So that just goes to show how long.
So are you about to, just a follow-up to that, are you about to make an introduction to him to Washington Redskins franchise history and possibly go to a game this year? Let's say Baltimore versus Washington.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm in there.
Who are you rooting for, Domo? Who you rooting for?
Come on, man. We here. When I say we back, we back.
All
man.
right. Just wanted to make sure.
But I know
what's crazy is I went to high school with Josh Harris's daughter. So like, it's funny how full circle this go. But like,
that's crazy.
That's a good dude right there. Commanders is going in the right direction. And now I can give my son the full history, everything, all the way back from what I know, what my father knew. And like, yeah, I can be proud of it because I just couldn't attach. I couldn't give him Dan Snyder. I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Now, I guess the other question I have for you, when you converted to being a Baltimore Ravens fan, you were still going through some hell over there. Like, hell didn't just like escape you when you switched teams.
Yeah.
How did you make it through? Did you ever think about switching to another team?
No.
Or making your visit back to the Washington side sooner than the timeline that you had of Daniel Snyder selling the team?
Yeah, no, it was definitely some tribulations over there. Obviously, some early playoff exits. Back-to-back MVPs for Lamar. That's cool and all, but definitely didn't get it done in the playoffs like they wanted to. But yeah, I mean, it was either the Ravens or nobody. It was not going to be like, because I've always just admired the Ravens from afar because I was like, man, I wish the Redskins operated like the Ravens, like a real org, top to bottom. They're going to always have a top 10, top 15 respectable defense, and they're going to have a run game. They're going to play sound football, no drama, no BS. And so I always admired that, and them being right on the street. I've been to a few of their games, more than a few of their games. And then, of course, Lamar Jackson, I'm a huge fan. For what he is, my wife went to Louisville, so, Louisville Cardinals, that I'm a bang with Lamar forever. But yeah, it was either the Ravens or it was nobody.
But Dama, let me ask you this, and this is something I always wondered because, like I said, when I had my issues with the Wizards, I wasn't like rooting for another team. I watched the NBA as a whole, and I, like I said, casually watched the Wizards through a time. But for me, I always felt like I couldn't be a fan of another team because, like, yeah, sure, I might be like, all right, cool, they won, but it's not gonna fill me with like joy and excitement of like a team that I grew up watching. Like, did that ever happen for you when you changed to the Ravens? Like, did you feel that same joy or that same anger when they lost games that you would when you was a Redskin fan?
Nah, I don't think anything could touch how deep I was in with the Redskins. Like, my 30th birthday cake was literally like a Redskin jersey with my name.
That's crazy.
Like, like I was in deep. So like, and then the childhood memories, I didn't have that with the Ravens. Like, again, I always followed them from afar. I just always admired how they did business. And then of course, when they got Lamar, I was a huge Lamar Jackson fan when he came out of college. Like, it was like, oh, I'm gonna start really watching them now. And then Redskins, it felt like a bad girlfriend. It felt like your girl left you at prom. Like you know, you had all these memories with her, you know what I'm saying? And like, and then she did you dirty. She smashed a homie on prom night or something. Like, so I was just done with them. Like, it was just like, I'm not watching no Skins games, like nothing. Like, I completely tuned them out. And it was just whatever y'all would post, like, I would see it. That was the only consumption I would get from y'all on that team. But as far as following in the media and all of that and checking in back on them, nah, like that whole Ron Rivera era, like I said my little piece on it because I just felt like it was the same thing as as Mike Shanahan. You giving a retread over the hill coach more power than he need. And then I said my piece on that wasn't going to work out. And until they did it right way, they weren't going to prosper. But, you know, they finally did.
So did you already have premeditated in your head that this will be the week that I go ahead, I throw on my Redskins gear with some butters?
Yeah, when did you know,
full body picture and post it on X? Like,
you're waiting for that.
Give me a play-by-play. Like, give me a Tony Romo play-by-play of how you went into the week. Like, I'm going to post a full-length picture of myself announcing that I'm returning back to the Washington fan base.
Oh man, so nah, it was really just off the cuff, man. Like I had been thinking about it, like the Cincinnati game, that primetime game. Because again, up until this season, I hadn't watched a full Commanders-Skins game in over 4 or 5 years, like beginning to end. And I had been watching all season, and then seeing Jaden, just how he's progressively just getting better, and obviously being a fan when he first came out. So after that Cincinnati game, I was like, man, I think it might be time. So then when they came out against the Cardinals, I was like, let me see it one more time before I go all the way in. Because when I jump all the way back in, I'm all the way in full throttle. They getting all my money. I'm going to get the merch, everything back. And so watching him just destroy the Cardinals, man, by pretty much the beginning of the second half, it was pretty much over in my opinion. I was like, let me go ahead throw this tweet up. But the picture is actually from 2015. That's actually
I saw the Photoshop.
Yeah, that's an RG3 jersey I got on. You know what I'm saying? That's an RG3 jersey I got on, and I gave all that stuff away. The beanie I had, the scarf, I gave all that stuff away, man. And I just threw the little Commanders clip art on top of it, and I posted it. So it was really just off the cuff, man.
So let's try to figure out this one thing right now. Look, you back now.
Can we pull the picture back up?
Let's see if I can pull the picture back up, bro.
Can we pull it up real quick?
I don't even think I got them jeans.
Like, how many views you got on that post?
Hey, bro, he done made it to Facebook and everything. Hold on, bro. I want to show the Facebook.
Hey, he was going through it on that post. They was telling Domo, you can't come back, bro. You ain't welcome no more.
Hey, bro. Yeah, man. That shit is hilarious, bro. Wait, hold on. Let me find a joint with the Tims. Where the Tims on that? Oh wait, I ain't even see this one, bro. Hey, bro. I ain't even see this one, bro.
Man, he had the 15-year-old photoshops ready.
Yeah, man. I had a little clip out on that, man.
Your
Like,
man went Adobe
There you
on
go,
it. What
bro.
you a graphic designer in your day-to-day job?
just
Hey,
a little
bro.
clip out, man.
I
That's
didn't
all.
even know that was
It take me
Photoshop.
nothing but 5 minutes to do that.
Hey, that's funny as hell, bro. Hey, but he back though, man. I don't even like I people got issues with that, bro. I ain't got no problem. Like it's out of all the franchises trying gatekeep, bro. This ain't the one to do it. Like if people want to come back, bro, after years of bullshit that Dan and put them through, I'm cool with it, bro. I'm cool with anything and everybody that want to come back and support the mob, bro. This is a unique circumstance. You talking about one of the worst owners in the history of professional sports, bro. It's
like,
really as simple as that, bro.
And that was my thing, like, because it kind of like with the Wizards, because folks have asked me like, how did you stay with the Wizards, but then lead the Skins?
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, that's because Ted to me is not comparable to Dan Snyder. Like Ted is just everybody got their issues with Ted, but Dan Snyder to me is a different monster. Like the off the field stuff, the case, all the cases, the assaults and all of that stuff, and he's just a bad guy to me. So like I just couldn't get myself to deal with it no more. And then him hiring all his buddies and keeping them dudes just running a propaganda machine, like I couldn't do it no more. It wasn't even about, it was partially about the win-loss, but it was more so about Dan and then it's the incorrect process. Because I felt like as long as Dan stayed the owner, the process was never going to be right. And it was just going to always be this treadmill. So I just couldn't do it no more.
But you know, and for me, I almost had the same kind of feeling you had at one point, and that was during the whole Kirk RG3 saga, because I feel like it trickles down, like the Dan Snyder thing trickles down, bro. Like I mean, it trickled down to the fan base, like for years, even all the way up until this point. Honestly, where we got Jaden Daniels, this fan base been at war with each other. We don't rival with Cowboys fans, we don't rival with Eagles fans. The whole fan base just rival with each other. That's it. So to me, that can get exhausting and taxing on you as well, where you got to take that little mental break. But I'm with Mual. Like, I ain't no gatekeeping. Like, we welcome you back. This team needs a fucking fan base. We need to start filling our stadium back up. We need all the people to come back in. I don't care about no damn bandwagon. Jump on. We need you on our side because we need to start packing these home games out. Like, we don't need to go to Baltimore to go to a game and all that. But shout out to y'all. I want to go too, but I'm just not able to go this time. But I want us to pack out, Northwest Stadium or whatever it's going to become. So, yeah, welcome back all the fans that was gone in the Dan Snyder era. I understand.
Question. Oh, my bad. I was going to say, question for all of us on here, right? But starting with you, Domo, now that you're back as a Washington Commanders fan, and you spent some time away from the franchise and seeing how other organizations run, with the rumor of Davante Adams being possibly a team, well, with Davante Adams being out there and requesting a trade and Washington being one of the teams that has been mentioned, do you feel like Washington should be aggressive in adding a Davante Adams? And that also goes for my co-host to answer as well, because we haven't touched on the topic, but it's honestly one of the bigger things that's being talked about in the last 24 hours in the NFL cycle.
Yeah, I think right now the Commanders are in a beautiful spot because you got a top 5 talent quarterback playing on a rookie deal. So you're in a spot where you got a lot of cap space. The question is, how much is the price? What's the price? Because if they talking the first round pick, second round pick, I don't know if I would do that. But if you can get them for like that extra third you got back for Dyson, and maybe some other little spare change in there, I think I would do that. I think I would do that because you got this is a rare window where you got a cheap quarterback playing at an MVP level. I think you need to strike on that for sure.
My question would be, and for me, for your question, AJ. I'm with it. And the reason why I'm with it, because my biggest thing is, what's the real downside here? I know a lot of people keep bringing up the money and all of that, but what will we be on the books for about, 2 years? And we are loaded with cap space right now. Like, money isn't an issue. You can sign a Devontae Adams or have him on your roster and still, have the flexibility to make other moves. I mean, this is the type of move that the Philadelphia Eagles and the 49ers and those type of teams, the contending teams, usually make. And those teams have, some kind of answer or solution at quarterback, which I feel like Washington has right now. And as you mentioned, Domo, he's on a rookie contract right now. So for me, now I wouldn't be super aggressive with it. Like, it's got to be a limit. There has to be somewhere where you say you got to draw the line on this. But at the same time, it's like, if you can do it, you can do it. Now, I'm not going to go out there and, shit on Adam Peters if he doesn't make this move or anything. I mean, it'll just be like the IU situation. But I do feel like the Commanders are in a good position to make a move like this for Devontae Adams, where it's not crippling your team and it's adding something for now, because we didn't expect to be where we are in going into week 5 at this point right now. I think what we would have been happy with a 2-2 record or even a 1-3 record if it meant Jaden Daniels was progressing. But now Jaden Daniels is exceeding every expectation. He's on that. He's been talked about in the MVP conversation. This is not about Washington fans. You got people in NFL circles saying Jaden Daniels, if the season ended, which it doesn't, if the season ended today, he would be in the MVP conversation. And I asked the question I asked earlier about his weaknesses, because I'm like, if he doesn't have any glaring weaknesses, then you do have a top quarterback at this point in this league. And if you have a top quarterback at this point in this league, you can contend at any point in this league. So this is the perfect chance, if they want to go after a Devontae Adams, to go add a Devontae Adams. And I wouldn't be opposed to it, because, again, what's the biggest risk right now to adding a Devontae Adams? And if it's no real big risk to it, then why not?
Yeah. I look at it a few ways. I think for Washington, the question in itself, I wouldn't be aggressive. I think they'd be smart to check in, see what that's talking about. From Josina Anderson, and I forgot who the actual, the original report was. It may be from Josina, but the rumors right now is it's going to take a second round pick, or they're entertaining offers if you're willing to deal a second rounder. And that's intriguing in itself, because Devontae's worth at least a first. So I think that there's mutual interest on both sides from Devontae and in LA, in Vegas, of trying to get rid of each other. So I think that's a common middle ground for both of those parties. I'm not necessarily sure that I'm not so you can't pass up on the talent itself. I also don't know, when it comes to Washington, because Dre, you mentioned Washington and Washington and New York in the text thread. I'm not too sure that Washington is actually. Where'd the rumor come from? Where'd the rumor that you said the rumor was?
It's truth behind it. I checked in with people.
But I hear it, bro, and I
Maul been kind of against this from the beginning.
I hear it, bro. Here's my thing, bro. It ain't nothing with
real talk.
Maul don't want to talk about that shit unless it happens.
It ain't nothing against Tay himself, bro. My thing is, when you deal with stuff like this, bro, all of this stuff is a lot of noise. It is a lot of noise. And think about it like this, bro. This is a random team, but I follow this dude that I got a lot of respect for. He breaks down tapes for the Steelers, and he has a Steelers fan base, right? Think about all the teams out there who needs a goddamn receiver. They're having the same exact conversations that we're having right now.
But how many got Jaden?
The same exact conversations right now, and not a lot of them got Jaden Daniels. Not a lot of them got 40 mil. So the conversation is more plausible for us to have, not realistic. But whoever, because they can ship that man anywhere, and that's kind of where my hesitation is. I'm all in on Devontae himself. The age doesn't bother me. Anybody who sits here and says that a person that's turning 32 years old at a receiver who's an elite talent can't. Larry Fitzgerald played until he was 40, and he's one of several who can play that late. Devontae is that good where he can play. He can give you 4 or 5 more years. If you can get 2 or 3 years with Devontae, that's a dub. I'm taking that. Give me 2 or 3 years with Devontae, bro, and go on about your business. So him, the player, cool. The process, the likelihood of Washington being in this moment, especially with the offense being on fire the way it is right now, I don't. That's the part where I'm like, all right, well, let's kind of pause the brakes. Let's kind of chill on that, bro, because I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, when we sit here 4 weeks in, you just try to think of the evolution of Cliff Kingsbury's offense, and I think Devontae Adams is one of those domino pieces that helps you elevate your offense even further. Because you bring in an elite wide receiver like that, he now changes how defenses have to play you. Because not only do you have a premier passer, but you also got a guy that could run. But you now get the whole entire field open for the Terry McLaurins of the world, the Ben Sinnets, the Zach Ertz. The running game gets open because now the primary focus is on the Devontae Adams. Terry McLaurin gets to eat a bit more. B-Rob gets to eat more in the run game. Eckler, so on. So I think that's where I'm thinking. I mean, as far as the age, like you touched on, Maul, I'm not concerned about. He's 31, bro. Like, I'm older than that in real life. You feel me? I don't think that I'm washed. So why would I think
his
someone...
age? But see, the age shouldn't even factor in because he's not a Tyreek Hill type. You know, when you rely on purely athleticism, Devontae Adams is not that type of wide receiver. He could be like a Henry Ellert.
Plus, it's like, let's take Dommy Brown's probably, 26? And he sucks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just to be fair, like, we talking about age, like, it's young dudes on the squad that suck. And it's young dudes around the NFL
I hate the age
that are
talk,
much younger
bro.
that suck. I just don't understand what people like.
Calais Campbell pushing 40, bro. Still a dog.
Yeah, and it's like when you think of a Devontae Adams, I also think about just even this roster. If you invested that third round pick into Luke McCaffrey, who better to learn from in the league on releases? Like route running. Like he is that dude at that position. So even if maybe Devontae isn't necessarily like hands-on with him, just seeing that up close and personal is a tutorial in itself. But when you also look at the bigger picture of the roster going beyond even this season, next year the only two wide receivers under contract for the Washington Commanders is Luke McCaffrey and Terry McLaurin. So you don't even have to primarily focus your attention in free agency to wide receiver if you shore up a Devontae Adams. Now you could possibly re-sign guys like a Noah Brown, but also use some later draft picks to acquire wide receivers to go along with the mix. But now you can focus your money primarily in free agency on whether it be cornerback or pass rusher. So that's what I'm thinking about. The money thing, like he has no guaranteed money remaining on this contract. He will easily get a new deal that can be spread out and provide void years. That's just me getting super detailed contract wise, but that allows so much financial freedom for the Washington Commanders. So that's not a huge deal if they acquire him. So I don't want people thinking like, oh my God, he's gonna make $45 million in 2025. No, he wants to get a new contract just as bad as he wants to get out of Las Vegas right now at the moment. But at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. But from what I've checked on and talked to a couple people, this is going to move pretty fast. Don't know which direction it is going to go in, but Washington's a serious team in those conversations. If it happens, cool. If it don't, they'll just be going after a wide receiver next year anyways.
They might go after somebody this year.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, we're gonna see. Domo, man, I appreciate you joining us, bro. I just want one quick question from you, or one quick answer from you. What's the ceiling for this season? Wins and if there's a playoff in their future.
Ooh, I can say I'll say they got a chance to win the division. The playoffs is going to be decided by their defense. That back end got to get it together. So I'm gonna say the defense come along. I think they can make a push to the second round. Yeah, to the second round.
Hey man, appreciate you joining us, bro. I want you to let the people know where they can find you. I know you did some work with the Locked On Wizards. If you want to give an update on the Wizards side, we got some Wizards fans in the chat. So if you want the people let them know anything and everything that you got going on, bro, the floor is yours.
Yeah, for sure. So on Twitter, of course, everybody, the name is Domo8186. And then I do the Wizards pod with my man Brendan. Wizards of Gallery Place pod.
Yeah.
We about to start cranking that back up. Got some other things in the works that I won't speak on yet, but for this Wizard season. But yeah, we got some good content coming down the pipeline, man. So yeah, this Wizard season is gonna be interesting. So yeah,
I'm with you, Domo.
God bless y'all. I don't know how y'all follow.
I'm about to say, funny enough, Domo was talking about us
Loyalty,
and how he follow us with the Commanders. I don't have to miss a single thing, or I can miss a whole season of the Wizards, and all I gotta do is follow Domo timeline, bro. I know everything that's going on, bro.
82 games of straight.
I know
bullshit.
everything.
Hey man, trust the process, man. Trust the process, man.
Hey, I'm trusting it now.
Cooper Flag, man. Ace Bailey.
Let's go, baby. 20. Hey, AJ, you'll be with us in a couple years.
Even if you trust the process, you can still get screwed in the lottery.
That's true. That's very.
So
true.
it's like
It's
you
our time,
trust
though.
in this process, and you end up with the 4th pick in the draft.
Look, it's that time, man. We back. The good aura is back, baby. Commanders, Wizards.
Yes,
it's up, man. It's up.
Yes, sir.
It's up, bro.
I'm with Domo, and you can't tell us nothing right now.
It is, bro. But yeah, I appreciate everybody who checked in live, listening as well. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button before you get up out of here. That's gonna wrap it up for us. All 32 on Wednesday. Chopper Dive game preview back on Thursday. But y'all take it easy. Enjoy y'all evening, day, whatever. Anytime y'all listening. Peace.
Yes, sir.